want. Freedom is the power to do what we ought. We're going to express our beliefs and we're going to stand even in the face of canceling. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is June 28th, it's Tuesday. I have some big news about Josh Duggar and his new house. But before we get into that, what I wanted to ask you was something that I posed in one of my videos yesterday. It was a video about Christine Brown and her one of the hardest parts of her leaving Cody, and what that part was being public about making that decision, and how she had been an advocate for this way of life for such a long time. So it was so hard for her to actually decide to leave, because, I mean, how do you go on air for 10 years and say that you believe in this way of life and then suddenly you make the decision to stop doing that without looking like a hypocrite, right? But instead, people really embraced Christine and they were like, yeah, Christine. At the very end of my video, I posed a question about Kim Plath and Michelle Duggar, two other mothers that are in the world of fundamentalism and have advocated for this way of life for raising their children. One of these mothers, Kim Plath, has come to a point in her life, like this crossroads, where she thinks that she doesn't want to live this way of life anymore, and she's starting to realize sort of the implications of the choices she made by getting involved in this world. And we're seeing in real time her trying to separate herself from this belief system by leaving Barry. In tonight's episode, Barry actually guilt trips her and tells her she's being selfish for leaving, which actually was like, well, that's very common with the world of fundamentalists. Men don't believe that women have the right to be happy, and if you want to leave your family, you're being selfish. So the question that I posed at the very end was about Michelle Duggar. Now, Michelle has been married to Jim Bob for over 30 some years, and I don't anticipate her leaving. But if Michelle were to make the decision to leave Jim Bob, do you think they would give her grace in the way that they've given Christine, in that they're supporting her and like saying, yay, way to go, Michelle? Or do you think that ship has sailed simply because leaving that doesn't absolve her from or erase the damage that's been done? It's not easy to get out of this world, so I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate here. And if someone were to leave, what would your reaction be? If Michelle decided to leave, would you cheer her on, or would you say it's too little, it's too late? And if you haven't yet seen the video about Christine Brown, make sure that you do. It is up here. Okay, so last night I got a comment in my video. Someone was like, my brother is in that unit and they saw Josh Duggar. And I was like, wait, what? And then I got an email from this woman who told me that their loved one had let them know that they saw Josh Duggar in Seagoville. So I was like, well, that's weird because his information hasn't updated yet. Well, then lo and behold, I woke up this morning and Josh Duggar is now been assigned to FCI Seagoville. So he is going to get the place that he wanted, not his first pick. He actually would have preferred, I think, Texarkana because it's closer to home and it's right on the border of Arkansas and Texas. But he ended up in Seagoville. Seagoville is in Dallas County, and it is about, I would say, 50 some miles from Fort Worth, which is where Anna Duggar's sister Priscilla lives with her husband David Waller. And it's about 90 miles from the Big Sandy campus where the Alert Academy is, and they do all the family conferences. So it's not far from IBLP location headquarters, and it's not far from her sister and her brother-in-law. It's closer to them than it is to home. So some of you are like, Katie, Seagoville is not anywhere close to Fort Worth. Well, it's way closer to Fort Worth than it is to Springdale, Arkansas, which is like 6+ hours away. So there's that. Okay, so Josh Duggar's new house is FCI Seagoville. It's a low security federal correctional institution with an adjacent minimum security satellite camp and detention center. So he has been he is in the FCI, which is the institute. He is not in the satellite camp or the detention center, just to give you a heads up. If they were in either one of those facilities, the detention center would see Seagoville, I think DC, and the minimum security camp would have a different acronym. So he's actually in the actual jail, prison. This facility is currently at what's called a level 2 for operations, meaning their COVID cases are going down. And what is going to happen while he's there? Well, the first thing that he's going to go through is he is going to go through orientation. So orientation and the whole process for Josh will start when he got there, which I think he might have gotten there yesterday or the day before. He is going to learn very quickly how it all works, and he's going to get his clothing, and he's going to have all the details. So the orientation handbook basically lays out that he'll get 5 shirts, 5 pairs of trousers, 2 sheets, 1 blanket, 5 sets of underwear, 1 belt, 1 pillowcase, 1 pair of shoes, 5 pairs of socks, and 3 towels. And everything has to be tagged. There are rules about how his attire is to be worn. He has to wear his clothing from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And all their clothing has to be wrinkle-free, institutional issued clothing. They must be buttoned and tucked inside trousers at all times, and belts must be worn. So after that, they can change into other clothing, which I'm not sure what that is. There's other clothes that they can actually buy in the commissary. When they get there, you go through an orientation, and it says FCI Seagoville are required to attend admission and orientation lectures. The purpose of the orientation process is to enable you to familiarize yourself with the programs and operations of the institution. They all must be, all inmates are assigned to the A&O program and given a schedule by R&D, which indicates the time and place of the A&O lectures. And then you report to the auditorium at the time shown on the schedule, and you complete it in 1 week. So he's going to be going through orientation for the next several weeks as he's working on this process of getting acclimated. So he doesn't, he's jumping in, but they're going to give him all kinds of instructions. And it says that you have different sessions that they have to attend while they're in orientation. So the classes that he has to take while he's in orientation there's an interview, he goes through correctional services, he goes through medical services, he goes through chaplaincy services, they go through records and offices, they talk about commissary services, which is stuff that you can buy, clothing requests and laundry procedures, food services. They talk about the different programs they have for all the different types of offenders. They have different educational services. So it's basically 26 different programs that he goes through as a part of his orientation. And he will be scheduled for this, a date will be given, and then he goes through those classes. So he has to go through quite a bit before he's acclimated into the system. And he'll learn about all of the procedures of becoming an inmate at Seagoville. There's rules that he's going to learn about how he needs to keep his living quarters and all that goes into it. So a couple people have reached out to me that actually have loved ones at Seagoville. And so the two people that have reached out to me have people that are in the actual unit that Josh will be in or that he is in. I don't know if he's there yet. But the way that they explained it is that all of the SOs are in a unit together and they live in a dorm. It's a dorm where they have rooms, and each room has anywhere from 1 other inmate to up to 3 or 4. So they have rooms that don't have doors on them, and they live on bunk beds. Each room is given a locker. They have a desk, a chair, and a lamp. And then they can buy other things like fans, and they can buy headphones to watch the television. They can buy a Walkman for a radio. Did you know that they still make Sony Walkman radios? Yeah. And prisoners can buy one for $44 from the commissary. Every single thing that Josh wants outside of what is issued to him, he has to buy. And it's not cheap, you guys, not at all. Everything about being in prison is expensive, and it's expensive not for the inmate but for the family. So, I mean, unless the inmate has savings, but I'm assuming that Josh with his attorneys used up all of his money, and Jim Bob and Michelle are probably paying for his commissary. So I was looking at the commissary lists for Seagoville, and I was like, well, what could we buy if we were there? So he will be in the FCI commissary list, and they have options for radios. So they could buy a radio, like I said, a Walkman for $44. Oh my God, a Walkman, a Walkman. You can buy a digital watch. There's sweatshirts, t-shirts, other pants that you can buy, sweatpants. There's special sneakers you can get. You can get a pair of Reebok Classics if you want them. And then there's different drinks you can buy. They sell soda. Everything is so expensive, though. It's unbelievable how expensive it is. Like a Snickers is 70 cents to 85 cents. A Three Musketeers is 90 cents. If you want to get a pack of Hot Skins or barbecue chips, it could be anywhere from 85 cents to $2.50, depending on what it is that you buy. So honey pretzels will cost you $2.50, and these are not for like huge bags. If you want to buy like a bagel, you have to pay 55 cents for it. So anything above and beyond what's offered in the kitchen, so they get meals three times a day. But if there's anything that they want in addition to that, they can buy food and snacks through the commissary. So they can get like Ritz crackers or saltine crackers. They can buy nuts, food like sauces, peanut butter, salsa. It's a lot of junk. I mean, macaroni and cheese. They have a way where you obviously are able to make food, whether it's a microwave or if they have some sort of like stovetop that they can use when they're in the dorm rooms. But they have some foods that you can make, like rice, mac and cheese, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's just like stuff that you would keep in your pantry, and it looks like a lot of junk. So people that are getting commissary, this is on top of what they're already getting through the meal service, and it's all expensive. It's kind of shocking. And then if you need like if you run out of healthcare stuff, if you need dental floss, if you need toothpaste, if you need mouthwash, like literally you have to pay for everything. Everything. I'm shocked. I was like, you mean if you need dental floss, you have to pay for it? But it is, I mean, it's prison. So, I mean, what if you don't have money? Does anyone have a loved one that's in the prison system? If someone doesn't have money on the books for commissary, what do? Do they have to get a job to make money so that they can afford the commissary? I don't understand it. Like, they can get shampoo. Did you know you could get Pantene for $5.95? I think they can get Suave for $2.90. Oh my gosh, it's so expensive. If you have a stomach ache and you need Rolaids, you can buy that for $2.80. Shaving, soaps, batteries. I mean, everything has a price. Greeting cards. If you want to participate in any of the recreation, you actually have to pay for that. So you have to pay if you want to play racquetball, you got to pay for the balls, and you got to pay for the racket. If you want to play tennis, it's the same thing. Oh my goodness. Everything has a price. It's a lot of money. So he can buy other clothes, he can buy basically anything, and they fill out their commissary and then they submit it. They fill out the commissary reports or the sheets, and then they submit it to the guard, and then the warden has to sign off on it. And then I don't know how often this is done, but the warden approves it. And the last time this list was revised apparently is April of 2011. So yeah, there you go. All sales are final. Okay, so the way that it's been explained to me is you buy a lot of extra stuff, whether it's in commissary, and then you can have a certain amount of things in your specific units in your locker, and everything has to be kept neat and tidy. Now, there's programs that they can participate in. There is therapy that they can do. There is like church stuff that they can do, and they can work. Although both people have told me that jobs are hard to come by at Seagoville, so a lot of them just don't work. One of the people that emailed me basically made it sound like their loved one that's there literally just watches TV all day and reads books or plays card games. And that was comparable to what a mother told me of her son, who said her son is just there biding his time until it's time to get out. He's refusing to participate in any of the therapy. He doesn't want to deal with what's going on. So he just literally is watching TV and doing what he needs to do to keep the lowest profile possible and stay out of trouble. One of the moms who has their son there right now, who's been there for quite a while, said that he'll do well in the prison. So it says, Josh will do well if he does two things. If he keeps his mouth shut and he lies low, and if and when given the opportunity, that he admits to what he's done. She said, as I understand it, most of them will not tolerate someone trying to proclaim their innocence or trying to excuse their behavior. I see that as a good thing. It might be the best therapy for him. So if he tries to lie and excuse what he's done, apparently that's not going to go well for him. And then the other person that let me know how their loved one does is that everyone's really nice and there's not a lot of problems in the unit. I don't know. I feel like sometimes these loved ones only tell people, they only get 15-minute calls. So one of them said, yeah, we hear from him every day and it's a 15-minute call and like, that's it. So it's a very high level. There's never been any issues for them, no violence. Both of them said no violence for either one of them at this facility. And it's mostly because they're in a unit with other SOs, and so they just keep low. But I don't know if Josh's situation is going to be any different simply because he's high profile and he has a lot of money. And the fact that his family has money might make him a target for extortion, and people might want to use him so that they can get commissary. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens to him and how this either humbles him or makes him even more arrogant. I have a feeling that Josh will be able to adapt no matter where he goes, and I have no doubt that he'll probably try to start his own prison ministry because that's what they all do. There's visiting hours Friday through Sunday, but each pod only gets 2 days of those days that are given to them per unit. So they can plan their schedule based on whatever the unit's schedule is, whether it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, Monday. And they get so many hours minimum per month. I think it's like 4 hours. And visiting is, depending on what's going on with COVID, it's been reopened at Seagoville, but it's limited to like a peck on the mouth, not a lot of touching, and it's in an open space like where everyone else is watching. So it's like he and Anna are not going to be able to get down and dirty, is what I'm trying to say. And if his kids can visit, that I don't know. I have no idea. That has to be approved for by the BOP. And so Anna has to also be approved by the BOP. And then finally, will Anna move? One of my followers basically said, who knows the Duggars, that they wouldn't put it past Anna to move. She could either move to Fort Worth or by Big Sandy, where the IBLP is. So would Anna move? I don't put it past her. I just don't. I could see her moving down there and not getting away from him and going every single week to see him, which would be really sad. I could also see her staying in Arkansas. We'll have to see. She would be leaving a lot of support if she were to leave and go to Texas. She wouldn't have the same kind of babysitters. She would have her sister, and that's about it. So, and Justin Duggar is down there and the Spivies. So I guess they would have some support, but not anything like the Duggars. So what are your thoughts about this? Are you glad to see that he has a home? What do you think Josh is going to do during the day, and how well do you think he'll be received by the other inmates? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.